Microsoft is launching a games streaming service. Also, a white tiger kills a man in Japan. And Wagyu beef. What the fuck is going on with that? I go by the name of Johnny Massacre, and you're witnessing the Johnny Massacre Show. Yes, I'm wearing a purple spandex running top. I'm about to go for a run. I've got some chicken roasting in the oven. I am multitasking. Welcome back to the Johnny Massacre Show. It is now Wednesday in Tokyo, Japan. The eagle-eyed among you will have noticed that there was no Johnny Massacre Show on Monday or Tuesday. I put it down to alcohol. I drank some alcohol. I went to bed a bit late. I was a little bit hungover, and alcohol leaves no room in the serious man's life for anything. So it's official. I have now given up drinking forever. Before I drink once or twice a year, but now I will never drink again. I promise you that. Just because it's my duty to bring you the Johnny Massacre Show and to get all my dreams, and I can't do that if I'm drinking, can I? So I actually recorded the Johnny Massacre Show on a Monday, but it didn't work. I think I've done this 4 or 5 times. For various reasons, they've all been shit. So I'm going to keep it very, very simple today. I'm going to talk slowly. I'm going to keep it concise and to the point. So let's get to it, shall we, people? I am back. It's you and I against them. Let me bring you the news. So, first up, Microsoft's streaming service. Now, when I heard Microsoft was starting a streaming service, I just thought it was a service that you can access when you boot up your Xbox and just play any game you want via an online stream. But it's not quite that. The whole point of this streaming service is you can play Xbox anywhere being your smartphone or a tablet. Whether you can play on Apple devices, I'm not sure, because the beef between Microsoft and Apple is pretty well documented, but I think it's been less frosty in recent times, and I would be surprised if Microsoft didn't put out the stops to overcome any licensing issues to bring the Xbox to Apple phones everywhere. Now, that's very smart of Microsoft. They realize that every single person's phone is a potential Xbox. So I've never seen this shit before, and I believe Sony and other companies are doing it as well. I think there's actually a bit of an arms race going on to get this project up and running. Microsoft's project is called Project xCloud. So I'm going to show you right now what that looks like. Let's have a look. Feast your eyes, people. Feast them.
So how real is it?
Oh, this guy's so annoying. Okay, these are the big servers where they're going to house the Xboxes you can tap into to play games.
We are going to be pushing.
So how?
Here we go. This is what it looks like. This is an actual game streaming, apparently.
Android phone.
That's amazing. You can play Xbox anywhere with a smartphone. Count me in.
And it's streaming.
You'll be able to play with an Xbox.
How can you not be into that?
Via Bluetooth. And if you don't have a controller, you'll be able to play with our touch input controls.
Playing precision twitchy games like Halo with a touchscreen, I am not keen to do, but I guess it's better than nothing. So that was really interesting. What do you think? Leave your comments in the box below. Personally, I'm not convinced yet by streaming, because internet speeds have been about the same for the last 10 years. So until internet reaches a new plateau, I wouldn't trust a stream to give me precision experience that Halo demands. So, other news today. I think we're on to the tiger. Are we on to the tiger? Yeah? So, a rare white tiger has mauled a zookeeper to death. Now, on the last time I attempted to record this show, I tried to make a joke about the guy dying, and it actually wasn't very funny, because, yeah, getting killed by a tiger isn't very funny, really. It's definitely a terrible way to go. I wouldn't want to die by being mauled by a tiger. And apparently this tiger mauled the guy in his neck. So You can use your imagination as to how his final seconds went down. This is the tiger in question. This motherfucker. And he knows it. He knows it. That is a face of pure anxiety. He knows what's coming to him. Because in this world of liberal justice, you just have to be accused to be guilty. And this tiger, he definitely did it. So apparently the zookeeper, his name was Akira Furusho, and he was found bleeding from the neck in the animal's enclosure in the city of Kagoshima on Monday. The 40-year-old employee was taken to hospital, but later died from his injuries. So he was hanging in there a little bit. And it's unclear what triggered the attack, which occurred after the zoo had closed for the day. So there was no spectacle, there was no one on their smartphones recording the guy getting killed. So these tigers are obviously very rare, and now they're in a bit of trouble, but I don't think anything's going to happen to the tiger. So I thought that was a pretty interesting piece of news. And finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about Wagyu beef. So Wagyu is one of the main exports of Japan. What makes Wagyu beef so nice? It is riddled with fat. There's a marbling effect, and all of the flavour is in the fat. If you just eat chicken breast, there's hardly any flavour in there. You've got to add something to it. But Wagyu beef, you can just cook it up and eat it with nothing. It's that tasty because the fat evenly absorbs and distributes the flavour since it's running through the meat. One of Japan's main exports. And I found out today that Japan has really been concentrating on exporting Wagyu. They've obviously identified it as something that people want to have. And so they're trying to satisfy the demand. And apparently the demand for Wagyu beef globally has exceeded Japan's expectations. Although I would like to give you my personal take on Wagyu in Japan to add something to this article. So we're just going to run through this before we finish the show. Have a look at this. Japan fights to remain the king of Wagyu beef. Australia and New Zealand tweak traditional methods as tastes change. So this article is basically saying that Wagyu beef is very, very fucking expensive. It can be up to 400 Australian dollars, basically 300 US dollars per kilogram. And to put that into perspective, I have eaten steaks a kilogram comfortably. I can do it in about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I'll eat a kilogram steak and actually have a bit more room left over. In one meal, I could eat 300 pounds worth of meat, which is really something. So it's dubbed the Rolls Royce of beef, apparently, and it's enjoying a surge in popularity. As I touched upon, Japanese beef producers are seeing a dramatic rise in Wagyu exports, which has pushed prices to near record levels. Foreign tourists are travelling to Japan to enjoy its melt-in-your-mouth tenderness. Owners of high-end restaurants, hotels and butcher shops are flocking to Japan's far-flung regions to secure supplies of the meat. This booming international demand for Wagyu, which simply means Japanese beef, Gyu means cow or beef, comes after a long, lean period. See what you did there, author, lean. Hang on a minute, there's no politics. There's no Trump derangement syndrome in this article. Seriously, get your news from Asian news. It's so much better. Exports to Australia kicked off in May for the first time since 2001, when many countries banned imports of Wagyu after the discovery of mad cow disease, a brain infection that is believed to be transferable to humans. So Wagyu is booming all over the world, but improved safety standards and years of negotiations between Japan and foreign governments are bearing fruit. Wagyu is now the rising star of Japan's agricultural export drive, a push by Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to counter the shrinking consumer market at home. Wagyu beef is also the perfect emblem of what Japan touts as its core strength: superior quality. So Taiwan is a very big consumer of Wagyu. I read another article saying that recently Taiwan got on the Wagyu bandwagon after some bans or embargoes were lifted on Wagyu beef because of mad cow disease, and sales of Wagyu have been surging in Taiwan. And apparently in Taiwan, they are making their own Wagyu as well. And Taiwan accounted for around a fifth of Japan's total beef exports during the first half of 2018, which surged 37% from a year earlier to $100 million. So it's actually quite small overall, just $100 million. But Japan's looking to capitalize on this newfound popularity, and that you could see that number get a lot bigger very soon. So what did I want to tell you about this? Well, apparently other countries are producing Wagyu. So, for example, in Australia, let's have a look at the article. On a chilly morning in July, black Wagyu cattle were roaming around a spacious grass field in Alexandra, about a 3-hour drive from the Australian city of Melbourne. So, let's keep going. The landscape, surrounded by vast hills and trees, makes for a stark contrast with the small pens in Japan that leave the cows with hardly any room to move. It is one of 5 farms owned by David Blackmore, who's been filling the stomachs of wealthy Asians with Wagyu during Japan's absence from the market. So Australia have got their own Wagyu going on. After being raised on a barley-based diet in a Japanese-style feedlot, the cows will be shipped to Sydney for processing, then sold to some of the world's top restaurants. The whole process takes more than 2.5 years. To prevent competition from foreign producers, Japan does not export live Wagyu, semen, or embryos to overseas markets. But during the 1970s, some were sent to the US for research purposes. So if they don't send it overseas, how the fuck are they making it? I guess they just raise the cows in the same way that Japanese do. The article goes on. Blackmore first encountered Wagyu in 1988 at a farm in Texas and was stunned by its meat quality. Around the same time, an Australian government agency issued a report that outlined how raising its meat grade, a measure of quality, by 1 notch would add 200 million to the local beef industry. Also, Japan, there's so much in this article, it's ridiculous, but also America's producing its own Wagyu. And let me just tell you this, right? It doesn't matter, even if America have used the sample of Wagyu cum or DNA or whatever, even if they have the original DNA of the Japanese cow, it's always going to taste better in Japan because of the methods of the people, and because people here so strictly follow rules until the end, until death, to ridiculous levels that Americans would never even dare to tread, or British or Europeans. Trust me on this. But the fact that this article is saying that probably a lot of these cows, I'm going to have to check this out, I can't confirm, but it seems to be that a lot of these cows are just cows raised in the Wagyu way and are not from DNA from original Japanese Wagyu. That goes to show even further that the real deal Wagyu is and will always be in Japan. Look, I know people who own restaurants out here. They have no social life at all. They have no other half, no significant other, no girlfriend, nothing, because they spend every single day grinding and making the food without question. In the West, we question it. Why the fuck do I have to do this? Why do I want to do this shit? I want to be a fucking rock star. I want to do this. I want to do that. In Japan, people don't often think like that. They've got one thing they want to do and they will endlessly refine it. It's the Japanese way. And people who do that with food, especially Wagyu beef, despite the mad cow disease thing, I don't know how that got in there, but I doubt it was just from them being dirty fuckers. It's probably the standards to protect from disease weren't known at the time as well as they have since the disease came about. But trust me, when it comes to food and stuff, Japanese people are on another level. I eat raw chicken a fair amount. Raw chicken is a death sentence in another country. But in Japan, there are farms specifically created for the production of raw chicken. And I trust these motherfuckers because I've seen Japanese people and how they operate. They're not the kind of people to spit in your burger, mate, spit in your Wagyu. So I believe the Japanese Wagyu, because of the techniques and the stoicism of the farmers and the workers in general, Japanese Wagyu will always be the best. I just wanted to share my opinion with you on that. So, do you know what? Fuck my life. Not fuck the mailbox. I don't have any mail. But can you please write some questions for tomorrow's Johnny Massacre show in the comments below? Do it now. Write your questions. Tomorrow will be the mailbox. I'm going to cut the show a little bit short because I had a couple of days off and I've done this show about 100 times and it's been fucking shit every time. But this time, hopefully, it might not be shit. It's going to be a good one. I'm glad you're here. Also, support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Johnny Massacre. You know the name. It keeps me going. You're going to get more shows. It's going to justify me doing this completely random ass fake news marathon every week. And also, it will support me to make more music, which is what I really want to do and is what I love. And if you can help me become world famous through my music, I'm taking you all with me. It's us against them. They done us wrong, people. We're coming for the fucking crown. Head over to Johnny Massacre, patreon.com/Johnny Massacre, and give generously. Alright? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the women. I went by the name of Johnny Massacre. You've been witnessing the Johnny Massacre Show. See you tomorrow, people.